Hey, anyone listening, I'm sorry for being late. If anybody had planned for me to be here at 7 p.m., I had some technical difficulties. I use my phone for mostly everything. I use my phone to do my videos. That's my main way of communicating with my videos to you guys is through my phone. So there's some things that I'm working on figuring out with StreamYard. So be patient with me, guys. So welcome to my live for the channel Why Are Humans Like This. I appreciate anybody who will be joining. So today's topic is, I'm not sure if you guys can even see it because I'm telling you, I'm still trying to figure some stuff out. Let me see if I can see it on my phone. Okay. Anyway, so I decided to talk about what is it? Should family reunification always be be the goal? So I was watching a video. Be the goal. Ooh, I can hear myself. I was watching a video from, I think it was, what channel was it? Court TV. So Court TV did a story about, I'm sorry if I didn't, y'all, let me start over. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to my live stream. This Today's topic is about should family reunification, like I said, always be the goal. And I got this idea from Court TV. Um, so Court TV did a story about a sadly a young girl, 5 years old. Her name was Kinsleigh Welty. Unfortunately, she did not survive. You know, you guys, I try to focus on survivors, but my heart always goes out to stories that people didn't make it. And I decided to make my channel more about survivors because I feel like, hearing stories about someone not being here, being taken out of this world is sad. So I want to kind of focus on people who made it through, and to encourage myself and to encourage others, hoping their stories encourage me and my story can encourage you or anybody else. So yeah, Kinsleigh Welty, she was only 5 years old. She was from Indiana, and she was killed by her mother and her boyfriend, allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly for right now, but yeah, allegedly her mother and her boyfriend, they had been abusing her, apparently like severe abuse, and then she succumbed to injuries. I don't really know exactly what took her out, like what was the final straw for her body, what was the final straw for her young body. But yeah, so she had severe abuse from childhood. I think even as young as 3 weeks old, the mom had issues with caring for her daughter. Her daughter was taken away and then they were given back. She was given back before. So the mother and the boyfriend, and I believe the grandmother, was all put into custody. So I was very upset about the story because the signs were there, the abuse was there, and the social services department gave her back to her mother, to the abuser. So I honestly feel like I've been feeling like reunification does not always work for everyone. Reunification of families, putting families back together should be the goal, you know, but some people are like honestly beyond repair. Some people are better off losing their rights and not having their child with them. We see it all the time. There are great parents out there who, felt on hard times or going through something and just need some time. They need some financial literacy, classes or something like that. They need help with housing. They need counseling. They need some mental health services. But there's some people who don't want to get the help, or the help won't help them at all. And so I feel that, you know, reunification shouldn't always be the goal, because every circumstances does not allow a parent to be a good parent. And if we value children more, then it will be less cases of children being taken out of this world by their parent or their caregiver. And I understand that, like, child services, they get overwhelmed with cases, but sometimes it's not worth it. I feel very sad for Kinsleigh Welty and any other child who was taken out of this world because of their abusers. But my heart goes out to those who are surviving abusive homes right now, and they're being ignored. Like I would hate for, another story to come out soon about a child who was showing clear signs of abuse. They were taken out of social services, and then they end up not being here anymore because of their parents. So I just feel like they need to really do a better reevaluation of each circumstances. Did but people were always telling me like it's a hard job, it's very emotional. Like you really have to learn how to leave the job at work. Like you can't take it home with you. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm able to do that. I'm not sure if I'll be able to leave my job at work because I will get so kind of I feel like I will get attached to the child or to the situation. And I feel like there would probably be a lot of upset parents and caregivers at me because I definitely would be focused more on the child. I'll be focused on keeping them away from the abusers until the abuser of being a changed person. I don't know all the circumstances for Kinsleigh Welty's case, but it happens too often where children are being abused. Like you guys already seen some of the videos I've done about child abuse. Um, like Alexis, in her case, she was abused. The woman I did the story on who was severely abused by her caregiver. In cases like that, she should not be going back to the abuser. Obviously, the abuser got locked up, but like she shouldn't have gone back. I don't know what happened to Alexis as far as like who ended up taking care of her, but in cases like that, a child should not go to the mother who made poor choices to put her in harm's way with abusive child provider, and then clearly she didn't have anybody in her corner to stand up for her. So when there's a pattern of abuse in and around the family, sometimes a child is better off in foster care and maybe hopefully eventually being um, adopted. I've heard so many horror stories of people being in foster care. So it's tough. It's like, do you put them back in a very abusive household or you put them in foster care where they might be abused as well? The chance of putting them in foster care, but doing better monitoring with the foster care parents, doing a better background check of foster care parents, because some foster parents are just as bad as these abusive parents or even worse. In Ohio, there's a story, I can't think of the lady's name. I'm going to try to pull it up on my phone. But there's a woman who's a mom, and she took her foster child out of this world. And she clearly was having mental health issues. And she admitted, like, yeah, she told them where she put the body and everything. Let me try to look at the story. Hold on. Tammy or something like that. Her name was. I'm trying to look it up. I'm trying to think. Look at the story. I should have been more prepared. Yeah, her name was Pammy May, 48 years old. She was indicted um, back in February for aggravated murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence, according to Franklin County Common Pleas court records. The charges are in connection to the death of her foster son, 5-year-old Darnell Taylor. So another 5-year-old was being abused. I don't know the circumstance of why Darnell was put into her care, but that's why they need to do a better background check on these foster parents. Some foster parents are just a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. Like you can't be in such a rush to have placement and miss the clear signs that somebody is off. Um, I know no system is perfect, but like we got to get as perfect as possible when it comes to these children. There's no need for that. A children should not be killed by their parent or the foster child. I know that the social services can't do everything, but when you see the clear signs of abuse, you should be doing everything you can to keep the child safe. Because obviously you can't be in everybody's home. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be children who gets abused and no one's reporting it, and the social services or the police doesn't know about it. But like I said, once you know about the abuse, like, you got to do all that you can to keep the child safe. Some people are just too mentally gone to have a child. Like, I think some people are just too focused on reunification that they're missing the signs that, hey, I don't think this is a good fit for reunification. I don't know what kind of checklist they need to go down, but I hope that these happenings that's going on lately is going to change things for the better. We the children shouldn't have to survive abuse, but I'd rather a survivor than a child to be taken out because of neglect, because of clear abuse. So yeah, like, I'm team the goal shouldn't be reunification for everybody. It shouldn't always be. I really would love for somebody to be in the chat to let me know what they think, but nobody's here right now. Um, but if you're watching the replay, please leave a comment and let me know how you feel about reunification. Share your story. Were you a foster child? Were you abused, possibly, from a family member or whoever, caregiver, and then it was investigated and you went back? And I'm always open to you guys sharing your stories about it. I'm going to share something about me. As you guys know, I'm a survivor. I've had childhood abuse, and I knew something wasn't right. And I remember, like, after being beat, um, I was so in pain and felt so, like, violated and so hurt. And I heard, like, the radio talking about, like, if you're being abused, call 1-800, whatever the number was. And I honestly thought about calling, but I don't know who had put it in my head that, if you go to foster care, it's going to be, like, so much worse. And so I was just afraid of being in a really bad situation, like the unknown. As a kid, like, you don't want to be in an unknown situation. You want to be around your family. You want to be around people that care about you. But, like, I didn't feel like I was being cared for. But it's like, I guess I'll just have to deal with it because it could be worse. So as a child, I did not report any abuse. But to be honest with you, if I could go back, I would have reported some abuse, because some parents need parenting classes, like mine did. My parents needed some serious parenting classes and mental health services. There's too many children being parented by people who have mental illnesses that's not being addressed. You know what I'm saying? There's people who have suffer from anxiety or depression or whatever else, and they're aware of their triggers. They're aware of what's going on. They're in counseling. They're taking preventive measures, and then you got some people who have issues and they're not doing anything about it. They're not acknowledging it. They're not being accountable for their actions. And then when something goes really bad, like a child gets hurt really bad, it's like, well, I was going through something. Like, you just got to get the help before you're putting your hands on your child, like, excessively. I don't believe in any, to be honest with you, I don't believe in hitting children at all. At all. But if you're going to do it, you need to not do it where you're going overboard. But that's why I don't agree with it, because some people don't know how hard their hits are. And it's even not just about hits sometimes. It could be verbal abuse and just, like, even neglects. It's all abusive, but some people don't know how unstable they are. They don't see it. They're just so enraged and they're just so focused on their own experiences that they're taking it out on the child. So yeah, I'm team, like, keep your hands to yourself. Everybody, mother, father, son, sister, brother, neighbor, keep your hands to yourself. You know, when a man hits a woman, for example, obviously some people are okay with domestic violence. You hear the supporters of it all the time, like, oh man. But anyway, I'm going off board. But it's crazy how a man hitting his wife is considered domestic violence, right? But then when a parent hits their child, it's not considered domestic violence. Yes, it's child abuse, but I feel like that's also domestic violence. And I feel like if we put as much value as we do on women and other people who suffer from domestic violence, it should matter as much to women and grown adults who are being abused by their partners as it does to children. But yeah, I know domestic violence, is just for usually relationships of older people. It's not considered children, but I feel like that's all domestic. Like, that's domestic violence. I feel like it should be labeled as domestic violence and child abuse, like, together, to put more of an emphasis on it. But I really wish I had more people in the chat, or anybody in the chat, to kind of engage with me. But um, yeah, that's all I really want to talk about. I mean, shout out to Court TV. I'm really into, some of these Court TVs and other channels that help me learn about some stories. I wish that Kinsleigh Welty would have survived. Um, but I hope that her abusers, what I'm saying, get the punishment that matches the crime, because it shouldn't have gone this way. And I really do feel like child services should be held accountable. Whoever allowed her to go back into the home for the last time needs to get some type of something. I don't know what punishment or negative actions. I mean, it's just not right. More needs to be done so more children could be protected. Like, the more we let things slide, the more children we're putting at risk. Everybody doesn't deserve children. Just because I'm related to somebody doesn't mean that they're really my family. You know what I'm saying? Just because they're considered my family doesn't mean they have the best, they have my best interest in mind. It happens all the time. Like, a lot of people have a story about their toxic family, their abusive family. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who wish that they were taken out of the home as a kid instead of being placed with their abusers, to live with lifelong images and memories of what happened to you as a kid. We could save so many kids if we just focus on getting them in a safe environment and not. I feel like once you put your hands on your children in a way that you're abusing them in that way, you're not even considered family. Like, you're not a priority anymore. Like, it's just too much focus on family over abuse. Like, I'm hoping I'm making sense. The mother. So let's put her back in there. When these people are not getting help, it doesn't matter if she's a mother anymore, because a real mother should be able to admit that, you know what, I'm wrong for what I did, and maybe I'm not the best person to take care of her. But when somebody's not in the right mind, they don't see anything wrong with their actions. So that's why social services and other agencies should be there more as a voice of a child. Sometimes a child can be taken from a home and find a better situation, whether it's foster or another family member who would do better. But then you hear of cases sometimes where the child is taken from the home and then they're placed in another family member's home, and that family member allows the child around the abuser, and the child gets hurt that way. It's just too many loopholes for abusers, abusive parents, and caregivers. I mean, it's just not enough people speaking up for children, but all I can do is my best. I will, I'm a mandated reporter, and I have to report abuse, and, right is right and wrong is wrong. You can't let, because how you feel about somebody, oh, that's my friend, that's my neighbor, prevent you from reporting abuse. Like, if you've tried to talk to the person and say, hey, I don't think this is right, and they still continue to abuse your child so severely, then you have to do what you have to do. No home is perfect. You're going to have parents who get upset, who yell and talk to you a certain type of way. But when it gets severe in any way, whether it's verbal, physical, emotional, that needs to be checked. Not like, I feel like more education should be done about how fragile the mind of a child is. And I think people don't think about that. They just regurgitate everything onto the child and think the child is supposed to be bounced back. They think the child is supposed to bounce back like nothing is wrong. And I feel like one of the biggest myths I've heard is children are so resilient. Clearly, that's not true. There's plenty of adults like me who suffered abuses, suffer from abuse as a child, and they're still struggling with it. There's people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s who are still living with the things that happened to them as a child. And, yes, everyone should go get help. If you know that you were abused as a child or, early childhood, later childhood, whatever, teens, young adult, anything that happened in your youth, you should get help. But some people don't have the mind to see that they were abused. It's not, sometimes it takes a long time for you to be like, you know what? What happened to me was really messed up. And I need to get help for it. Some people just live with some people some people grow up thinking that the abuse was normal, and it takes time to really see sometimes. But children are very wise. Like, as a child, I knew what was going on with me wasn't right, but I didn't know how to speak up for myself. I didn't know what to say. And because you probably feel like no one's going to listen to you, no one's going to hear you, you deal with it. But honestly, I feel like for my situation, like, it may not have been severe to some cases where the child is forced to eat feces or being locked in the closet or anything like that. But abuse is abuse. Like, there's levels to abuse. You got like a lower end of abuse, medium, you got high. Abuse is wrong regardless. You know what I'm saying? And in a perfect world, children will only be born to mentally stable parents. But unfortunately, it's easy to get pregnant. Nature doesn't say, oh, well, this person's abusive or this person needs therapy, so I'm not going to let this person be able to get pregnant. You know, this man is abusive, so I'm not going to allow his sperm to swim. Like, it's nature is going nature. You feel me? So we as adults, as society who are healthy and realize that children need to be protected, have to do our best. And if it means that a child does not go back to their original home, then so be it. You know, if you're worried about a child not seeing their parent, then do supervised visits, whatever. But having a child alone with their abuser, again, is a no. You're asking for trouble. You're just asking for something that can go horribly wrong. Like, it's bad to say. Like, I'd rather break up a family than to put them back in a bad home. There's cases where children are removed unfairly from the home, and I feel for those parents and those families. But there's cases that they're not being taken away. So it's like done in the system. It's a system. I can't even talk. I'm stuttering. It's a systematic problem with uh children's services, foster care, all of that. This needs to be like, it just needs a huge reform. And I want to be a part of that change. I do. I don't work in foster care. I don't work in social services, but I would like to do more. And making videos like this for me is helpful, but there's more that I can do because, I'm a parent. I have children. I wouldn't want anyone to severely abuse my children. I don't want to severely abuse my children. So there's just voiceless children out there, and we just need more people to speak up for them. So if they got to get taken away from their parents or their caregivers that they're used to, then so be it. I'd rather see a happy, healthy child than a neglected, abused child. So what? Forget about this label as that's my mother, that's my father, that's my brother. Okay, but that's my abusive mother, my abusive father, and I shouldn't be living with them. Like, you got to let kids see that you can still care about somebody, but still not be around them. It's like you're forcing children into situations that they shouldn't be in. You're teaching them that if someone abuses me, I should still go back with them. So I feel like this whole reunification thing is sending a bad message when it's not being done right. Anyway, so I'm pretty much done. I wish someone did join the live, but it's okay. Hopefully next time I'll try to go live more often, and I'll be working on a video to put out this week. I hope I made sense, y'all. I really hope I made sense to someone out there. But if you enjoy this live, or if you want to support my channel, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the comments, or you'll hear from me again, okay? Have a good Sunday. Thank you so much for listening.